Let me ask you about one seemingly sort of technical thing, but it's starting to loom. A lot of things are waking me up these days. Every third or fourth day, this is the thing that wakes me up. Nate Silver at 538 is now writing that when you look at last night's results in New Hampshire and what happened before that in Iowa, it's looking more likely where we could end up in a position where no Democratic candidate has a majority of delegates before the convention. Which makes me cringe just because the prospect of covering that is such a nightmare. But do you think that you and your fellow candidates should commit to supporting whoever has the most delegates at the end of the race? Or do you actually think that a contested convention is fair game and that if it has to get fought out at the convention, so be it?
Well, I just know I strongly support whoever comes out of the convention. I think that is what we've all agreed to do.
But if it's going to be a contested convention, so be it?
If it is, I would assume it's going to be a small number of people. But that's what conventions are about. We have to get the best candidate. I'm not certain that's going to happen. All I know is that I'm devoted to supporting whoever the candidate is. I just think it should be me. And I think this process, and a number of my friends who would be tremendous presidents have left the race over time. But I think it's getting down to less and less people. And so it's going to give people the ability to understand and think about not just what policy positions do we agree with, but also who can actually lead this ticket and unify our own party, which is what the New York Times said about me in that endorsement. You need someone that can unify our party, but also can bring people with her outside, because I don't want to just eke by a victory at 4 a.m. That would be sweet. I want to win big. That's the only way to send Mitch McConnell packing. If we win those Senate races in Arizona and in Colorado, if we keep holding on to Doug Jones' seat in Alabama after he took that incredibly brave vote. And you do that by having a candidate that is able to bring people with her and win in those states and bring them with you. Otherwise, I just don't think we can make the achievements that we want to see when it comes to climate change and immigration reform and pharmaceutical prices and criminal justice reform. We need to do this big.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.